Hello everybody. I'm currently at the Center for Spiritual Awareness, a Kriya Yoga retreat in Lakemont, Georgia. And I have a few announcements to make for the coming year, 2019, and a few other little things to talk about. Number one thing that we have going on that started last year is a Kriya Yoga Apprenticeship Program. That will begin again January of 2019. If you're interested in participating in this program, it's only open to 25 participants. You can get more information on this at kriyayogaonline.com. So if you go to www.kriyayogaonline.com, you can go to the Kriya Yoga Apprenticeship tab, and it gives you a full rundown on what's involved in this apprenticeship program. Essentially what it entails is around 27 lessons, 27 1-hour to 2-hour long lessons that are delivered to you just about once a week. And also it concludes with an in-person retreat, a week-long retreat. And our next retreat is going to be happening in October of this year, 2018, but this will be an ongoing thing. So each time you participate in the Kriya Yoga Apprenticeship Program, it will conclude with a retreat in the fall of the year of the program in question. We have interaction during this, where as we go through each class, you're able to submit questions, and I respond to those questions either via email or in the following recording. But again, if you have an interest in studying Kriya Yoga a little more in depth, quite a bit more in depth, please see the Kriya Yoga Apprenticeship course as it's listed at www.kriyayogaonline.com. I'll go ahead and I'll put a link to that at the bottom of this video for you. When you go to that site, at the very bottom, if you scroll through and read through everything, you have to read through it all, there is a document that you can download which includes an application. So you do have to apply to participate in this. There's numerous questions that you have to fill out. This gives me a sense of where you are on your path and if this program, this process is a good match for you. So that's number one. That will begin January of 2019. And this is a 2-year program, by the way, which means that our first program, which began this year, they will be continuing on to a second year in 2019, but we'll also be accepting new applicants for the next 2-year process. To that end, we do have a retreat occurring October of 2018. Now that was reserved specifically for the Kriya Yoga apprentices, and it will always be the case that Kriya Yoga apprentices will have first opportunity to participate in this. But the beauty of the internet is it allows me to reach people all over the world, and some of the people participating live in faraway lands. They're not necessarily able to make it to the retreat. So we do have an extremely limited number of spaces if you are interested in participating in this coming retreat. Now before you start thinking about that and planning that, it is important that you have previous experience in meditation and Kriya Yoga, ideally at least 6 months worth of experience. Preference will be given to those individuals who are applying for the Kriya Yoga Apprenticeship course, which begins in 2019. So keep this in mind. Also, if you are interested and you send me an email and you apply and I do not get back to you immediately, more than likely it's because the spots have already been taken. But if you are applying for the Kriya Yoga Apprenticeship, fill out the application, send that to me, and you will be notified probably within a month or two after I've been able to review all of the applicants about whether you'll be able to participate in that. So keep this in mind. October of 2018, there will be a week-long retreat scheduled, or there is one scheduled. And if you are serious about studying Kriya Yoga, you've been studying for a while, maybe on your own or maybe with some others or even myself, and you are interested in participating in the apprenticeship program, don't hesitate to reach out and see if there are any spaces left for that retreat. Again, it's limited to 20 to 25 people. So we keep it focused. And I will also send you more information about that. But essentially, it will be occurring at the Center for Spiritual Awareness here in Lakemont, Georgia. It's a private retreat. You will have your own room, your own guest house. You will prepare your own meals. We will meet daily in the meditation hall here. And the idea is to support you on your private, internalized path of Kriya Yoga. So, this is the main focus that I wanted to speak about today. Some other things to consider. And many of you have noticed that I've not necessarily been posting as many videos. I've been involved in other things with my main focus on the Kriya Yoga Apprenticeship course. But also over the last year and a half, I've also been a caregiver for my wife who passed away from leukemia. And one of the things I wanted to discuss is one of the final works that she created in the world. And that's a book, a small booklet that we worked on during the end of her life called 10 Life Lessons to Free the Soul, a Cancer Journey in My Life Story. So this was written by my wife, Melissa, at the very end of her life, the very final weeks. And she was a Kriya Yoga with me from the very beginning. We've been together for over 2 decades, and she's very supportive of this work. So I'd like to encourage you to get this book, 10 Life Lessons to Free the Soul, A Cancer Journey in My Life Story by Melissa Baker. I'll also put a link to this at the bottom of this video. And the reason that I'm discussing this, about a week after we left the hospital, and we were told that there was nothing else that could be done after some pretty extensive, intensive treatments, Roy Davis came and visited us up in Asheville, and she was quite inspired by that. And at the end of this book, she has 10 lessons, 10 end-of-life lessons that she feels she's learned through the process of healing through dying by being a Kriya Yogi and by being a good service-oriented individual within this world. And you'll get a sense of that as you read this book. But the 10 lessons at the end, in my own mind, I think that we all need to learn to apply them. And personally, I am dedicated to studying this work and these 10 life lessons, because I think that Kriya Yoga goes beyond simply just doing techniques. Kriya Yoga is about how you live your life and the influences that you bring in this world, how you let the divine flow through you. And as you'll see through these 10 life lessons, it's very important to live your life well, so that way, when the time comes, you're able to transition and to die well, and that's also a part of your healing and also a part of your path. So anyway, I'd like to encourage you to check out this little booklet, which is available on Amazon. Next thing we want to discuss is a book that Mr. Davis, Roy Davis, who's a student of Yogananda's, my Kriya Yoga teacher, has revised and published, called Paramahansa Yogananda, As I Knew Him. So those of you who don't know, Roy Eugene Davis is a student of Paramahansa Yogananda's. He actually met Yogananda, became an SRF monk, studied with Yogananda in the late 40s. He was ordained by Paramahansa Yogananda and also authorized by Yogananda to teach. And he is the founder and spiritual director of Center for Spiritual Awareness. So this book was originally published quite a few years ago. Don't remember exactly, I think it was 2005, 2007. But he has since revised it, added more. And essentially what this book does is it describes Mr. Davis's specific interactions with Yogananda. That's why it's called Paramahansa Yogananda As I Knew Him, Experiences and Reflections of a Disciple. So it's worth a study, it's worth a read, because it gives you insights on what it means to participate in a student-teacher relationship. And it's often important to have guidance from someone living who is experienced, who has a good history and track record of staying dedicated to the path. You can learn a lot from someone like that. So it's a wonderful book. It also has a reference to the inner meaning of the Bhagavad Gita, which is a specific Kriya Yoga text. Also, there are questions answered, definitions of specific terms related to Kriya Yoga, and a section on the lineage of gurus in the Kriya Yoga tradition. So I would highly recommend getting this book, Paramahansa Yogananda as I Knew Him by Roy Eugene Davis. It's available at csa-davis.org. That is the website for the Center for Spiritual Awareness and Mr. Davis's work. So I'll also put a link to that at the bottom of this video. So to reiterate, if you're interested in more in-depth study of Kriya Yoga, the Kriya Yoga Apprenticeship course can be something very helpful for you. It's done in a way that you're able to be focused, have your own self-study, but also interaction to work through anything that you're contemplating, any help that you might need. The book that my wife Melissa put out at the end of her life, 10 Life Lessons to Free the Soul, which was written and designed all by her. All I did was simply make it available through Amazon, put it together in a little booklet form for her. It's a wonderful study, and I think that really, ultimately, those 10 life lessons that she shares at the end are the most profound realizations that we're all working to. So in the end, while she was the silent one behind the scenes in this whole process, she had quite a way of understanding and figuring these things out. Things that I've been working through for numerous years in intensive meditation. She just seemed to easily and flawlessly know, but she was also a consistent private meditator as well and a Kriya yogi. And then the book, Paramahansa Yogananda as I Knew Him. I think these would all be great supports on your awakening path. And I look forward to hearing from you. And once again, when you do email me, keep in mind that there may be a delay in response due to the fact of the number of emails that I do get. The Kriya Yoga Apprenticeship Program itself was in quite demand last year, so there were numerous people that were not able to participate. Essentially it is, if you send me an email, whatever email I get first is the one I pay attention to. So in a sense it's first come, first serve. But also the application process I do take pretty seriously. So make sure that if you do decide to apply for this program, that you understand that I expect a lot of you. I expect you to be serious about it. We're not going to get into too much fantasy about the whole thing. I'm going to expect you to meditate well. I'm going to expect you to spend a lot of time contemplating what we study. And the essentials are going to be related to the Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And one of the prerequisites to participating in this is having at least studied the 11-hour Kriya Yoga training course, which is available at kriyayogaonline.com. Also the videos on this channel, there are Kriya Yoga educational videos. There's one, I believe it's a 12-hour stay-at-home retreat. It's helpful to have some background on that. There's also an introduction to Kriya Yoga playlist. So I want to make sure that you have a good background before you begin. So this is not for absolute beginners. This is for people who already feel a sense of dedication, a pull to studying this more deeply, more seriously, and you realize that it is a long-term commitment, that there is a lot of internal work that you're going to have to do for yourself, and I expect you to do it. That's the only thing that takes a person from becoming a beginner to an apprentice, in a sense, to a master. And this is all about personal mastery for yourself, so that you know what you consider to be a Kriya Yoga teacher to know. You know the same thing. You realize your essence is the same. That's what we're working towards. And that takes a while for most of us. So keep this in mind. And it's wonderful to speak with you again. And I look forward to future participation on this Kriya Yoga path with you.